According to Google, 2/3 of the people that are adopted seek to find their birth parents. Even though they have this family that has taken them in, they still have an inherent desire to want to know who gave birth to them. I think that it's interesting that pull is so strong. There's just something about wanting to know where you came from, who created you, who made you, that it is so prevalent in humanity. It doesn't mean that they didn't love their adopted parents necessarily, but there's just this draw to know, where did I come from? In the book of Luke, chapter whatever, the Jews are putting to the Lord to the test, and they give him that phrase, that well-known question of, should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? What they are trying to do is stir up the crowd against Jesus, whether it be the Jews or the Romans. Jesus, being Jesus, knows exactly what they're doing, and he gives a response that diffuses the situation. But in giving that response, he offers so much more insight into a situation that has been obvious, but it hasn't been necessarily clear. They ask, is it right to pay taxes? And he says, give me a coin. And they give him a coin of the realm. And he says, whose likeness, whose image is on this coin? The word there is icon. And they say, of course, it's Caesar's. And he gives the famous line, render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and the things that are God's to God. But when he's asking about the coin, and he asks, whose image is on it? What he's telling them is, whose image is on this coin, because that's who it belongs to. The image, the impression that's been made into that coin, that indelible impression, when they struck the coin, whose image was left on it? That's who it belongs to, and that's who you need to give it back to. We are struck with the image of God in creation. When God said, let us make man in our own image, in Genesis chapter 2, what he's saying is as we created man, there's going to be an imprint, a divine imprint put onto man that no other creature in all of creation will have. That's us. We are made in the image of God. The question is, what does that mean? What does it mean to be made in the image of God? What it means is that we have a spirit. God is spirit. God is not flesh and blood. This is a topic that it gets to be a challenge, because we live in a physical world. There is a spiritual world out there, but we don't live in a spiritual world only. We live in the physical world, and I think our world is equally spiritual and physical, but we only appreciate the physical to its fullest. We don't appreciate the spiritual to its fullest. So, we live in this physical world, but we have this spiritual imprint on us from the Lord. That spirit, they've called that humanity has a God-shaped hole that only God can fill. Very simplistic, but I think it gets the point across. But what I think also needs to be mentioned is that our spirit, that imprint of God that we have as humanity inherently, that has a calling out to the Spirit, what gave that Spirit. Similar to what people who've been adopted that have that desire. They have that desire to know where they came from. That same kind of desire is in every human. A desire to know the Creator. That Spirit calls out to the Spirit. A lot of people suppress that desire. That desire that your human spirit wants to know the Spirit who gave it. Too many people suppress that. That God-shaped hole they try to fill with how many other things? Nothing can fill it. So they're constantly trying to fill it. The only thing that can fill it is Jesus Christ. God is eternal, and God is unending. God cannot be contained. There is no limit to God. And so that hole is like a bottomless pit. And no matter what kind of things you throw in there, it'll never fill. Because the fountain of God never runs dry. It is the only thing that can fill that God-shaped hole. The Spirit of God is the only thing that can reach out and satisfy the spirit that's in all of humanity. When we're created and given that Spirit, inherently, that Spirit is going to call out to the Creator of that Spirit and want to have fellowship. Don't suppress that calling. Don't allow things of this world to try to fill that Spirit. He is seeking you. He wants you to come to Him. He will never force anybody. That's not love. Love is not forceful. Love is freely given. God has freely given us love, and He wants us to freely give love back. At no point will He force it. So as our hearts call out to Him, like, let's try that, something else. So although God has always been our Father, God has always been what has been inherently our lineage, our ancestry. God has always been our parent. We were taken away by sin. We have been pulled away by sin, but God always has wanted us back with Him. Always wanted us back with Him. So what He offers is an adoption. I will bring you back into my fold, into my family. And not only will I bring you back into my family, but I'm going to give you all of the rights. I'm going to give you all of the legal claim to being one of my own children. The inheritance will be yours just as it would for any of the other legal children. So when I'm watching these videos of these people adopting children asking to be adopted by their step parents, what they're saying is, you have fulfilled this role, and I want it legal. I need to do a better job with this. I'm getting good ideas down.